When your mother works all day and you've been at home watching TV, when your mother comes home, if she wants to see something on television in her house, that remote goes to her hand and she watches what she wants to watch. Ruling is in.
The case kicks off with Miss Capples claiming Mr. Harris is the father of her son and wants him to sign the birth certificate. Meanwhile, his girlfriend is right there, and Mr. Harris denies everything, demanding a DNA test. This drama is heating up fast, and it's only going to get hotter.
Ms. Capples, you say you are 100% certain that the defendant is your 15-month-old son, Jason's biological father, and today he's going to put his name on the dotted line right in front of his girlfriend.
Miss Capples says their relationship was just hookups, and she blames his girlfriend for making him deny the baby. Mr. Harris insists it's not his, and everyone's just dodging responsibility. Just when it seems clear, Mr. Harris drops a strange twist.
To be completely honest, Your Honor, me and Mr. Harris, we were never in a relationship. Let's clarify that now. We were just
sleeping together.
That's pretty much it.
Were you in another relationship?
No,
I was not, no.
No, I wasn't.
You find out you're pregnant. Obviously, you weren't using protection if there's a question that he's the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things turn confusing when Mr. Harris admits he heard about the pregnancy, but then didn't hear from Miss Capples for months. He says he started doubting when she dated someone else while pregnant. It's all a blame game, and Miss Capples is ready to show some evidence.
She texted me and told me she was pregnant. Then she disappeared for months.
When she texted you and said, I'm pregnant, what did you think? Are you now with Miss Mayfield in a relationship?
Ma'am, that's when I had got with her in a relationship.
She was around 5 months.
She got jealous of what me and...
What is there to be jealous about? I don't care about you guys being
Miss Mayfield.
Yes,
So go
Sit her
ahead.
down.
Miss Capples brings out a calendar to prove her timeline matches her pregnancy with Mr. Harris. He's confident, but Mr. Harris is still uncertain if he was even with her. It's a mess, and just when things seem clear, it gets more ridiculous.
As you can see, my son Jason was born January 9, 2016. Me and Mr. Harris were intimate for 9 months, all the way up the beginning of May. We started talking around September, Mr. Harris. Like I said, all the way up until the beginning of May. If you go back 9 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, bring you to April, and this is the window of conception where my son was born.
Mr. Harris admits he was with multiple women and didn't even know Miss Capples' real name. Miss Capples denies seeing others, but the situation is chaos. It's impossible to look away, especially as they argue about who showed up when the baby was born.
Were you involved with more than one man?
No, I was not, and he did not tell me that he was dealing with other women while me and him were talking. So I did not know that he was playing the
Men usually don't tell you. They want to keep
She
getting
went through my phone, text other women back.
Cut me off.
Yeah, that's the time y'all stopped talking. I know, boo. I know the whole story.
I'm sure you do, because you were there, right? And you were there when he was...
He don't even know your real name.
You were.
Miss Capples says Mr. Harris didn't come to the hospital because he was at work. He showed up the next day, but claimed the baby didn't look like him. Things are awkward, and there's a twist about who else was there that's coming up.
Did he get to come to the delivery room?
He didn't have a ride, Your Honor.
I was at the work when she delivered the baby. The next morning, I came up there. When I looked at him, he didn't look like me at all. I had been here, my doubts, but like I say, everybody around town says that she goes around saying it's another guy's baby.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not.
Because you did not want to, or you were not even asked to?
Both. I wasn't asked. I had my doubts.
Miss Mayfield, Mr. Harris's girlfriend, was the nurse in the delivery room when Miss Capples was giving birth. Miss Capples says she was spying, but Miss Mayfield says she was just doing her job. The tension is intense, and now the fight's about visitation rights.
What is this about the hospital room, Miss Kate?
I'm undergoing surgery, getting ready to have my tubes tied.
That is my job.
As a woman, I would not want to be in a room with a woman that's having my boyfriend's baby.
Okay, so you were the patient.
You work at the hospital, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then that was where they told you your station or where you were supposed to be? You were assigned to that?
Today, we got our stuff to do. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Capples lets Mr. Harris's family see Jason, but keeps him away from Mr. Harris. He and Miss Mayfield are upset, saying she's doing it on purpose. It's pure chaos, all leading to the DNA results.
Miss Caples, you're letting his family members see
I was
the
close with
baby?
his sister. I'm
You like to go out all the time?
I don't
That's the
go
only
out.
reason.
What are you
Because you could
talking
easily
about?
give in to him when he did. He don't have to
would be
drive
out
somewhere.
too. You
don't
were
have
out
to.
with the kids. What you talking
No,
about?
he don't.
All right, one at a time, one at a time, ladies. Ooh-wee.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Harris, you are not the father.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
didn't sleep with no one else.
Judge Lake introduces Poyer versus Poyer, with a mom suing her son for $5,000 in unpaid rent. She says he needs to grow up, while he claims she treats him like a servant. This is going to be a wild ride. Brace yourself for some intense arguments.
Ms. Poyer, you have brought your son to court today and you are suing him for $5,000 in unpaid rent and utility bills. You say in your statement that you feel it is time for him to start acting like a man before he becomes a father. You are here today to make him face his responsibilities as an adult.
Ms. Poyer calls her son lazy, and he fires back, accusing her of making him do everything. Their insults are sharper than a comedy roast, and Judge Lake steps in to settle things with her no-nonsense approach.
My son, he's lazy. I'm your mother. I try to do the best that I can for you. You cannot just want to lay around, not want to do anything, not want to help me, take care of the household, or help me pay any bills. You cannot talk to me like I'm one of your friends in the street.
How you say it, but she's the total last person that should even be saying something like that.
Ms. Poyer wants control of the TV after a long day, but her son disagrees. Judge Lake's swift ruling is like a mic drop, but they're not done yet. Things are about to get messier.
When your mother works all day and you've been at home watching TV, when your mother comes home, if she wants to see something on television in her house, that remote goes to her hand and she watches what she wants to watch. Ruling is in.
Ms. Poyer worries her son will mess up his life like she did, but her delivery is harsh. Emotions are high, and the conversation turns into a heated argument about money.
Ryan, to keep making some of the same mistakes that I made, I got high. I ran the street. But there comes a point in your life when it's time to say enough. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 5 o'clock, be in the house at 10 o'clock. No, you want to come in here ringing my doorbell 1 o'clock in the morning. That's disrespectful. I get, 2 hours sleep?
Ms. Poyer presents receipts showing her son's minimal payments, while he insists he's doing his best. The argument escalates into a math fight, and neither side seems to have the numbers right.
All I want is for my child just to grow up. But then it was time to come in here. Mom, I didn't get paid this, that, the other. But yet still, you going in there to find your little roll-up to do your business.
You say he did not contribute. You say you have cable bills.
I have cable bill. I have rent.
Ms. Poyer claims her son only worked for 2 weeks, while he insists it was 3 months. The back and forth feels like a ping-pong match, and a witness is about to make things even wilder.
How long did he work this job?
2.5 weeks.
Did you just say 2.5
You don't get a
weeks?
seasonal job for 2.5 weeks. When you work at a store for a season, that season is always 2 months and longer. I don't know where she got 2.5 weeks from. If you can find me a job that's going to hire me in a store for 2.5 weeks.
How long did you work this job where you were supposed to pay her $50 a week?
For almost 3 months before the season ended.
Ms. Poyer's sister Natasha adds fuel to the fire, calling out the son's habits and blaming his girlfriend. It's chaotic, especially with judgments based on nail polish. It's drama mixed with comedy gold.
My main concern, the reason why I'm here, is because he going out smoking marijuana. He jumping turnstiles, getting arrested. Stupid stuff like that.
The worst thing I've ever done was smoke weed and hop a turnstile when I was 17. Leave it alone. Let it die already.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Smoking marijuana, that doesn't go out of your system right away. So how are you gonna get a job if your system is dirty?
Ms. Luciano steps in, claiming she and Mr. Poyer work and contribute equally. The family isn't convinced, and it's a show me the receipts moment as things get even more heated.
We work at the same place.
Oh, you do?
Where?
Tell
me where.
I work at a marketing
Show me a
research.
pay stub.
I have many of pay stubs.
Where's your W-2?
I got my W, and I
I don't even need to be up here. She just turned into
We both pay rent together because
Do you have a checking account?
I have a
Do you have a savings
yes, I do in
account?
Chase. We go to Chase and I'll show you my
Finally, some calm. Judge Lake praises Mr. Poyer for improving his life and reminds everyone about family support. Both sides begin to listen. The emotional tension is far from over.
Suddenly you begin to live up to your potential. You get a job. You begin to get money paid regularly. Well, what your mother is saying is, why couldn't you do that to help me? And you're doing what you should be doing. And Mom, for that, you have to at least say, this is a good thing.
Mr. Poyer apologizes to his mom for the disrespect, and she breaks down, expressing how much she misses him. It feels like a turning point, but one big decision still looms.
Love you, I love you. I miss laughing with you. I miss crying with you. You know how I used to play with your ear? I miss all of that. May I hug him, please?
You absolutely can.
Do you remember that? This is what I most remember. Give me some nose.
Oh, yes.
This story's got it all. 2 boyfriends, a baby, and a lot of drama. Ms. Harris is stuck between her current boyfriend, Mr. Murray, and her ex, Mr. Donaldson, who both might be her daughter Anaya's dad. The goal? Figure out who's actually the father. Spoiler, this is just the beginning. Things are about to get way more chaotic.
Ms. Harris, you have been caught in a love triangle. There are 2 men in court today claiming to have fathered your 18-month-old daughter, Anaya. Your current boyfriend, the plaintiff, Mr. Murray, and the defendant, your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Donaldson.
Ms. Harris describes how things with Mr. Donaldson went downhill fast. When she got pregnant, he doubted her, then fell for someone else. He barely showed up for any of the baby stuff. Then, just when the drama seemed done, his family jumped in to make it even messier.
From my understanding, we was dating. But then when I got pregnant, he told me he had feelings for another girl. He told me that he didn't want to be with me. So I was basically alone during my pregnancy. He was there during the baby shower. He came to the hospital with his mom when I had her.
So wait, you're dating Mr. Donaldson, you're in a relationship. You all are boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah, we were.
Mr. Donaldson's mom was on board with being a grandma until she saw Mr. Murray with the baby. Suddenly, the family pulled away, leaving Ms. Harris to deal with it alone. But things get even weirder when Mr. Murray gets dragged into this train wreck.
I did not find out about it until she was about 5 months, maybe. When he told me about it, I accepted that he was, because that's what Chastity stated, that he was the dad.
At what point, Mr. Donaldson, did you say, Mom, I have something I have to tell you?
I didn't even tell her, honestly. I told my father, and my father told her.
That works too when you're scared to tell Mom.
Mr. Murray found out he might be a dad through a message from Mr. Donaldson. He says they used protection, but Ms. Harris disagrees. Despite the confusion, Mr. Murray stepped up when Anaya was 3 months old. Then, Ms. Harris mentioned a threesome, and now no one knows who the dad could be.
So, Mr. Murray, why do you believe you could be the biological father of this child?
One day I was on Facebook and I got a message, Jalen. He told me that the baby could possibly be mine.
Telling you that the baby could possibly be yours?
Yeah, I need to get a DNA test.
You sent him that message, Mr. Donaldson?
I don't recall. I'm not gonna say yes, I'm not gonna say no. I don't recall.
The timeline is a mess. Ms. Harris says it lines up with Mr. Donaldson being the dad, but admits she was also with Mr. Murray. Oh, and there was a threesome in December. No one seems to remember who used protection, so the court is left trying to make sense of it all. It's like a soap opera gone wrong.
You said your doctor told you your date of conception was around February the 10th.
Yes.
Anaya was born on October 21st, when you were intimate with Mr. Donaldson.
Beginning of February and the end of February, and then we stopped.
So the beginning of January, around here, the beginning of February with Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Murray, you are not the father.
That's okay. That's okay. That's still your baby.
This is like a reality show gone wild. Mr. Harvey says he spent $496.50 tours on baby supplies for a kid he doubts is his, claiming they met on a dating app. And boom, watching them argue over receipts was like kids fighting over cookies. Mr. Harvey shows $500 in baby expenses, while Ms. Jett complains it took forever for him to buy it. The judge starts grilling them, and it's clear neither of them is backing down.
And this is all before the baby's born.
Yes, but
then you responded back.
Okay.
It took him months and months to buy this stuff. I've been asked him for this. I begged for him to buy
Is
this
a
stuff.
receipt
A receipt, and I spent
that I
close
see
to $500 on everything.
a pack and play,
close to what you get.
a pump, bottle scrubber, bedtime wash.
Mr. Harvey's doubts are fueled by but trust me, it's about to get even crazier.
And she said she was in a sexual relationship. That's one. She had the baby and tagged the dude's name in the picture.
Mr. Harvey says she asked another guy to pay for an abortion. She denies it, but he insists he saw the text. The judge struggles to keep order as the tension.
After the baby was
Mr. Harvey claims he felt unsafe after Ms. Jett threatened him. He says he'll support the baby if it's his, but won't risk it until then. The judge says it's time for a paternity test.
It's fine. That's fine.
This kicks off like a messy movie. Fewer heroes, more drama. Ms. Narissa Moffat wants a paternity test to see if Mr. Johnson is her real dad. 2 years ago, some guy slid into her Facebook inbox saying, "Hey, I'm your real dad." Mr. Johnson's reaction? Hold up, this is wild. He blames Narissa's mom for making things confusing back in the day. Buckle up, it's gonna get wilder.
Ms. Moffat, you always believed the defendant was your dad until 2 years ago when you received a message from a man claiming to be your biological father. father. You are tired of the confusion and are petitioning the court for a paternity test to prove the defendant is your dad.
Narissa gets a random Facebook message from a guy claiming to be her dad, complete with a baby pic. She's like, wait, what? She calls him, but instead of clearing things up, it just makes her need answers even more. The drama is only getting started. Who's this mystery dad, really?
2 years ago, he inboxed me on Facebook, was saying that I'm his child, and when I'm looking like, I don't know. And then he had sent me a picture of me when I was like, he was saying that I'm his child and I have 2 other siblings.
I can see you're still shocked.
Yeah.
The message reads, "Hi, this is Lawrence Saunders. Call me because you is my daughter and I've been looking for you."
Mr. Johnson has major doubts. He says there were 2 other guys around when Ms. Moffat was pregnant. Their relationship was basically a secret, sneaking around like teenagers. This is giving serious "who's the daddy" energy, and it's just heating up.
Me and 2 more other guys was, at the time was dealing with Ms. Moffat. I just had doubts that I was her biological father at the time when she was little. I didn't know. I really didn't. I didn't know if I was the father or not, so.
Ms. Moffat reveals she slept with both Mr. Johnson and Mr. Saunders on the same day. Yup, both men could be Narissa's dad, but she thought Mr. Johnson was a better fit. Everyone's confused, especially the courtroom, and they're about to hear even crazier details.
I wasn't sure who was the father because, see, Mr. Johnson, and at that time, Mr. Johnson was at work, so I stayed around till he get off work. I had went to one of my friend houses named Mr. Saunders, which I was dating. Basically, I ended up having sex with him that day and Mr. Johnson at the same time. So that's why I'm not sure.
Ms. Moffat admits she kept the 2-dad situation from Narissa her entire life. Narissa only found out 3 years ago and is understandably upset. Her mom says she didn't want to hurt her, but that ship has sailed. Things are about to get even messier.
But Narissa testified that it was just 2 years ago that she was told that there was another possibility. But you didn't tell your daughter.
No, Your Honor.
But you're not telling your daughter that 2 men could possibly be the father.
I told her, that it could be a possibility. No.
When did she tell you this, Ms. Moffat?
2 years ago. But I just want to get this over with.
Narissa got really sick and called for her dad, Mr. Johnson. He stayed with her for 3 nights, while Mr. Saunders, the other maybe dad, was nowhere to be found. This is straight out of a soap opera, and the courtroom is hooked on every word.
I stayed out of it until Rissa got real sick. Went to the hospital and spent time with her. I said to myself, man, this child is laying up here fighting for her life, really who her father was, and she said she wanted her father there. And he told me, he said, Ron, you need to get to Indiana as soon as possible. We don't know if Rissa's gonna be much around here much more long.
The moment everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are her father.
Yes! This kicks off awkward right from the start. Ms. Fisher claims Mr. Stewart is her baby's dad, but he's not so sure. Stewart says she had options back then, and he's not convinced. The judge already looks tired, and we're just getting started.
Ms. Fisher, you're here to prove that Mr. Stewart is your daughter Kalia's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You state that your daughter has a serious medical condition, and it is imperative that you know the father's medical history.
Ms. Fisher is certain Stewart's the dad because they were hooking up when her daughter was conceived. She admits they weren't always careful. Yikes. And says Stewart denied it when she got pregnant. She's here for her kid's sake, but this story's got more drama ahead.
Why do you believe he is the biological father?
Because at the time my baby was conceived, that's who I was having sexual relations with.
It was just a sexual relationship, Your Honor.
Did you use protection?
The first few times, yes. A week after we started messing around, she come out and she showed me a pregnancy test. I'm like, it's not my baby.
So a week after you all started having a sexual relationship, she brings you a pregnancy test and says she's pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wait, they're still hooking up? Stewart says he was over at her place just last week because he was bored. Fisher's fed up with his excuses, and the judge is too, especially when another guy gets thrown into the mix.
After this is over, did the relationship continue?
Yes, he was just at my house like a week and a half ago.
I got bored. I got bored,
When you get bored, you go over Miss Fisher's house and have unprotected sex?
Sometimes.
That's smart.
She told me out her mouth that I wasn't the baby's father.
There's another possible dad, Mr. Kern, who even gave the kid his last name. Stewart's like, see, told you. And Fisher says Kern just offered his name. Buckle up. Mr. Kern's side of the story is next.
Well, she named another potential father as the biological father, and then another man signed the birth certificate.
Which man is this?
Mr. Kern.
Mr. Kern?
Yes, Your Honor.
There's another man's name on the birth certificate. Is this true, Miss Fisher?
His name
name is not on the birth certificate, but my daughter does have his last name.
Mr. Kern hooked up with Fisher around the same time, but doubts he's the dad. She lied to him about another kid before. He thought her older child was his, but a DNA test said otherwise. Kern's still salty, and things are just getting messier.
That you could potentially be Kalia's biological father. Were you aware of this?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not denying that I'm not her father. She always been lying to me, you know what I'm saying? Because we already done went through this one time with an older child inboxing each other on Facebook.
It always starts with Facebook. Done it wrong.
Fisher drops some serious news. Her baby has a heart problem and might need surgery. Both guys start shaking their heads, saying they have no heart issues, which isn't super helpful. The judge looks like she's had enough of this circus.
The doctor says she has a hole right in the middle of her heart, and she has too much blood going to her lung. And so in 2 months, they might have to do surgery if the hole doesn't close.
Oh my goodness. Either of you gentlemen have heart issues?
No, y'all.
Because she deserves to know. She doesn't deserve, I don't want her to grow up 4, 5, 6 years old looking for her daddy and I don't know what to tell her.
The judge is fed up and calls everyone out for being irresponsible. She reminds them this is about a baby's health, not their drama. She's about to drop some hard truths, and honestly, they need it.
When I look at this beautiful little girl and then needing an answer from me that I can't give because I was irresponsible, and now her health may be affected because of that, and the reason why I'm going so hard on you all is because you're still up and you admitted it in court today. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kern, you are not the father.
This past Father's Day, Memphis, Tennessee saw it in them to award me with Community Father of the Year award. The mayor was there and state representatives was there. So Caden will not fall short on a daddy or a father when it comes down to that.
That is great to hear.
Get ready for some real-life drama that feels like a movie. Judge Lake kicks off Lee v. Lee, where Mr. Lee accuses his wife, Miss Lee, of cheating multiple times and now questions if he's really the dad of their 11-month-old daughter. But if you think this sounds intense already, just wait. Miss Lee's backstory is next, and it's got some wild surprises.
Mr. Lee, you say your wife, Ms. Lee, conceived a child after cheating numerous times during your marriage. Now, you claim your family disowned you because of her infidelity, and now your marriage is on the brink of divorce. You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that you are not father of Ms. Lee's 11-month-old daughter, Carolyn Lee.
You won't believe how their love story starts, like a mix of romance and reality TV. Miss Lee says they met at a hotel party and felt instant sparks, totally falling for each other right away. Sounds sweet, right? Well, things take a left turn as soon as a Bon Jovi lookalike enters the picture.
I was actually getting ready to go on a date with somebody, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine to come to this hotel party to meet somebody else that actually wasn't even Mr. Lee. And I get there and our eyes met, started talking that night. I heard him speaking a little bit of Spanish and we started making out the whole night. We kissed heavily. The next morning, we exchanged numbers that night as well because we made out the whole night, didn't even remember each other's names.
So just 1 week after this love at first sight moment, things get, interesting. But believe it or not, this Bon Jovi moment was just the beginning. Soon, Mr. Lee's whole family gets involved in the chaos.
She stayed there with me for a few days, and then like the following week, she started cheating on me with a guy she claimed that looked like Bon Jovi. She has...
The following week?
Yeah, well, she said he looked like Bon Jovi. I said he looks more like the Wolfman.
I have a celebrity
week
obsession.
later?
Yes, I have a celebrity obsession in this guy he looked like Bon Jovi. He's just jealous.
Just when you think things can't get crazier, they totally do. Mr. Lee's family can't believe he's still with her, so they end up disowning him for choosing her over them. And then, just when things seem complicated enough, the couple finds out they're going to have a baby.
I got a little pissed off because, I mean, at the time, you know, my family disowned me. I had no friends.
Why did your family disown you?
Because she cheated on me and I chose her over them, and they didn't like that.
Her anymore?
Yes, and I didn't do what they wanted, so they threw me out.
Just because you went back to somebody, they threw you out?
It's messed up, I know, but...
He was spending alcohol.
If you thought pregnancy would calm things down, think again. It just makes things even messier. He's torn between his love for her and the nagging question in his mind. Is this baby even his? But don't think he's ready to give up yet.
When you find out she's pregnant, do you believe the child is yours?
Yeah, at first, she's my wife. Wouldn't, I mean, if you were in my shoes, wouldn't you believe that?
I don't know.
I mean... Yeah, I get it.
I'm not going to sit up here and lie.
I mean, she cheated on me before, but I figured why not stick around?
Things had gotten a little better.
Yeah, things
So you felt like trust?
I felt like I could trust her. I felt like that this was my kid.
At this point, you've got to wonder how Mr. Lee has stayed so committed. It's clear he's been through a lot and has high hopes, but this test is going to be the real game changer.
I do love her. I mean, I realize people have problems. People do things that they're not proud of. I mean, who among us has not?
How you stand here after saying you love her and you don't leave her, but now you're saying you're gonna divorce her.
The love's still there. We just, if baby's
We're
not
going
his,
through
we
the
can't
motions.
stay together.
We've decided that the baby isn't mine. We're just not going to stay together.
This part is like a soap opera. Mr. Lee talks about being there when Carolyn was born and signing her birth certificate, saying he's been trying to be a father and a husband through it all. You can feel the tension as he says he doesn't want to live a lie, but it's only going to get more emotional when Miss Lee's mom steps in.
Take your time.
I was there when she was born. I signed the birth certificate, everything.
So you signed the birth certificate.
I just don't want to live a lie. I want to know if this is my daughter or not.
If he is not Carolyn's biological father, do you know who is?
No, Your Honor.
If things weren't complicated enough, Miss Lee's mom joins in with her own twist on the story. But hey, no one knows for sure yet, and the truth is still to come.
She never saw really any happiness in my household. I feel bad for that. I was not a great mother to her, but she got kind of taken by my mother and my stepfather. They had her most of the time. But she did not see good things going on in the household. She saw a lot of fighting, and so she got into the dishonesty herself, lived what she saw.
Here it is, the big moment that's been building up this whole time. Judge Lake reads the DNA results, and
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are Carolyn's father.
I told you. I told you.
Mr. Miles shows up in court claiming he's the father of his 37-year-old daughter, Christine, who he hasn't seen in over 2 decades. Just wait until Christine hits him with her first question.
Mr. Miles, you are in court today to prove to your 37-year-old daughter, Christine, that you are her father. You admit you initially denied paternity when she was a baby, but are here to right your wrong. But she now wants to prove you are not her biological father.
Things get messier than a bowl of spaghetti when Christine lays out her doubts. He says he's trying to make things right now, but Christine's not letting him off that easy. Next up, he tries to explain what happened way back when.
I don't believe you're my father. My mom says you are not my father. You've been absent for 37 years. Why? Why now?
Your mom said that I was your father. Why she changed her story, I have no idea. But that's not the truth. And why now I had the opportunity to be able to look for you because I wanted to see who you are and who your family was.
If this backstory had a theme song, it would definitely be a country breakup song. He only found out he owed child support much later, which leads Christine to question where he's been all these years. Spoiler alert, he's got more excuses.
I didn't know about the child support at that time. I was just named as a father.
You were named the legal father, then makes you responsible for child support. You're just out there, you're dating a young woman, you love her, you all get together, then you break up. You were never informed. When she found out she was pregnant, she never called you to say, I'm pregnant.
No, Judge.
Now Christine starts sharing her side, and it's honestly a tough listen. Just when you think the emotions can't get any heavier, Christine reveals a twist about those child support payments.
I was really bad as a student. I got in a lot of trouble. I went to foster care 4 years. I went through lots of therapy to forget all this, and I'm back today.
But you're strong, and you're not alone, because we're here with you.
Thank you.
And so this was very difficult for you.
Very difficult.
And here comes the plot twist no one saw coming. Surprise, Mr. Miles owes a mountain of child support. He says he got the shock of his life when he found out he owed $28,000 in back payments, right there on his tax return. Next up, she spills about the one time she actually met Mr. Miles.
In 1992, we filed our taxes. Taxes came back, and there's a letter, $28,000 in back child support. And that just shocked me. Like I said, I just didn't have a clue that was even there.
And you didn't try to find out then?
I did.
What did you do to try to find her, Mr. Miles?
Back then, there was no internet, no cell phones. All you had was people that you knew and telephone lines.
Imagine meeting your maybe dad for one night, and then crickets. Mr. Miles remembers it differently, saying he thought he invited her to live with him, but clearly they're not on the same page. And just when it seems like things might calm down, the judge brings out a bombshell from Christine's mom.
Well, I met Mr. Miles one time when I was 16. He came to my grandparents' house. My grandparents actually let me go stay the night with him and his wife. I was never told about them until that very day.
I thought we did, hit it off pretty good. I think I asked her if she wanted to come live with us, if that was something that was going to be
willing to take her in as ours.
Right when you think you've heard it all, Christine's mom drops a statement that changes everything. Mr. Miles doesn't seem to care, though. He's convinced they have a bond. Just wait till you hear what Christine says about reconnecting with him now.
Because when we were in the court, she said I was the father. So after that, I assumed she would tell her that I was the father because that's what happened in court.
Why would she name her after his mother? Why would she go after him for child support?
He said he wanted to play dad.
Yeah, I wasn't even with her then.
That's what she said.
He was never with her.
Yeah.
He is still yet to contact her mother since that.
Here's the moment everyone's been waiting for, and it's like the air gets sucked out of the room. The judge reads the DNA results, and the truth is,
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Miles, you are not the father.
buckle up, everyone. This one's gonna be wild. Miss Collins is here to prove that Mr. Stone is her daughter, Samara's dad, saying he bailed when he heard she was pregnant. Things are already heating up, and we're just getting started.
Miss Collins, you have dragged the defendant to court to prove he is the biological father of your 4-year-old daughter, Samara. You say one day of bliss became a lifetime of hell when Mr. Stone up and disappeared when you revealed to him you were pregnant.
Miss Collins spills the tea on how she met Mr. This is where the plot twist kicks in. Now she's pregnant, and she's gotta let Mr. Stone know he might be the dad.
Me and Mr. Stone met on a dating site. I seen his profile. I thought he was kind of handsome, and obviously he thought I was cute as well because he messaged me back. So we had a few conversations until one day we decided that we will meet up. We were drinking. Well, why don't you just stay the night? You know, you've been drinking anyway. Why don't you just, crash here? So later on that night, one thing led to another, and we had sex.
Miss Collins remembers calling up Mr. Stone, all like, hey, I'm pregnant, and this could be yours. This mix-up only makes the whole situation messier, and they're both sticking to their stories.
I went to a doctor. This was at, I think, the beginning of June. The doctor told me I was about a month long. So I'm like, okay. So after that, I give Mr. Stone a call. I let him know. I said, hey, I'm pregnant, and there's a possibility that you might be the father.
She never said possibility.
Yes, I did. I told him I was pregnant, and it might be a possibility that the baby would be his.
Miss Collins says she tried to stay in contact, but Mr. Stone up and moved to Arizona and went off the grid. They both look at each other like, seriously? The mystery of who ghosted who is on, and now everyone's got questions.
Man, so she gave me the call. I was in Arizona. She's like, well, the person I thought that was the father of the baby is not. And then she said, the other person that might have been a possibility to be the father also is not.
2 additional people besides you.
Besides me.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Mr. Stone shows up with evidence saying he tried to do DNA tests several times, and guess who didn't show? Miss Collins says she either didn't know or had stuff going on, and now Mr. Stone's got trust issues. It's a classic game of he said, she said, and at this point, they're still pointing fingers.
I get a phone call from the court where she lives at. We show up, can't do the test for whatever reason. They say that they'll be in touch. Well, I go back a second time. I drove all the way up there. Guess who didn't show? Miss Collins did not show. She suggested that we do a at-home DNA test. So I was like, I don't really trust that. I don't know if that's not a doctor, but she said, I'll pay for it. I said, okay.
Miss Collins throws in a curveball. Her daughter Kimara has hypoglycemia, which she claims runs in Mr. Stone's family. The health stuff is only adding to the chaos here, and both are still looking for answers.
A few years back, my daughter, she got sick. Come to find out she's hypoglycemic. Now, that does not run on my side of the family. So what I do, I'll give Mr. Stone a phone call, and he says, yes, I do believe that do run in my family.
Anybody could have hypoglycemia. I'm not the only person on this earth. I'm sure there's a whole lot of us. It doesn't run in my family. Maybe the other guy runs in his family. I don't know.
Dr. Brown Parks swoops in to clear things up on hypoglycemia, saying it could actually be genetic. The doc gives her medical opinion, and everyone's waiting on the DNA test to see who's got it right.
So first off, hypoglycemia is simply low blood sugar. It can happen for a variety of reasons. There's a level at which we just have chosen that below 50 milligrams per deciliter when they take your blood. Most common cause is from people who are diabetic or hyperglycemic. It drops their blood sugar too low. It is indeed.
Judge Lake finally opens the DNA envelope, and surprise!
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Stone, you are the father.
Right from the start, the drama is real, and you can just feel that this one's gonna be intense. Let's just say he's got a lot of doubts, and he's ready to get some answers. Buckle up, because they just did. Ms. Nadeau gets a major reality check as she recalls the shock of learning her first child was actually fathered by Mr. Zara's best friend. The audience gasps, and it's clear everyone's on edge. Ready to find out what this lie detector, just when you thought things were settling down a little, surprise, surprise, Mr. Zara announces he's brought in a surprise hanging out, though he admits it wasn't exactly steamy. So yeah, the witness doesn't exactly have the smoking gun, but he's the best friend and father of Ms. Nadeau's first child, steps into the mix. The courtroom tension is off the charts as these guys keep one-upping each other. Here comes Mr. McCaffrey, and he's not shy about spilling the details. Crowd's in shock, and it's clear this love triangle, or square, is getting harder and harder to keep track of.
You hear this testimony?
Yes.
You admit you were intimate with Ms. Nadeau?
Yes. We were just friends with benefits. We'd hang out, party.
That's about it.
So you had unprotected sex?
We had
more than one time?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember the exact date it happened on, but I'm pretty
It started
sure
on his 18th birthday.
Ma'am, if you don't let him testify for himself.
Just when you thought you'd heard it all,
You were being truthful.
Thank you.
Here it is, the big moment everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court that her father is Mr. Zara.
You want to tell everybody how sorry you are?
This is one crazy situation right off the bat. Ms. McGowan tells the court how, just after her husband passed away, she met Mr. Martin online. But get ready, because this story only gets messier.
Ms. McGowan, you say after the death of your husband, you were trying to find your way, but ended up finding a man on the internet, had sex with him, and 2 weeks later, you discovered that you're pregnant. Now you claim the defendant, Mr. Martin, is without a doubt the biological father of your 8-month-old baby, Caden.
And just like that, Mr. Martin fires back with some seriously shady doubts. Wait till you hear why he thinks he's off the hook.
Mr. Martin, you say there's no way you're biological father, and you claim to have a mile-long list of doubts that will clear your name today in court. One main reason is that you believe the man she's currently living with, who will join us shortly, is baby Caden's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Martin then proudly admits he hasn't done a single thing for Caden because in his mind, it's not his problem. And just when you think Mr. Martin might start acting responsible, he doubles down.
Mr. Martin,
yes,
you've done nothing for the child?
No, I did nothing. Because first night we had sex. The first day we met each other, we had sex. The reason why I don't believe it, this is my child, because she's very promiscuous. And when you have sex with a woman first day, that's red flag anyway.
Did you use protection?
No,
No,
Now this is just some wild math Mr. Martin is doing to dodge responsibility. And just when you think he'll finally take the hint, here comes Ms. McGowan with some big proof.
After it happens, and then there's a baby on the way, how you can doubt.
Because there was other men involved. Out of one of the potential men, others.
Okay.
So therefore, I cannot be that one. You know what I'm saying?
What math are you doing? How do you exclude yourself from the number of men that could potentially be her child's father?
She had sex with another guy. Oh my God.
If things weren't messy enough, Ms. McGowan brings out her own evidence with a calendar to back up her claim. But as if on cue, Mr. Brody himself steps up next, ready to share his side of the story.
Yes, I have the calendar of the date.
You do. So you presented a calendar that outlines the date you were intimate with Mr. Martin.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's April 2nd.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're intimate with Mr. Martin on the 2nd. The doctor tells you your conception date is estimated at April 3rd.
And here's where things get even juicier. Mr. Brody jumps in and says he's actually been playing the dad role this whole time. This guy isn't holding back, and it's about to get even more emotional.
I've been there. Tina and I, Miss McGowan and I have been messing around since February. I just pray that he's mine. I really do. Because when he was born, he looked like me. He was a little light-skinned red baby. He had my cow licks and everything. In the NIC unit, when they took him from his mother when he stopped breathing.
Mr. Brody isn't just a maybe dad. He's been fully committed to the role, and it shows. But the stakes get higher as Judge Lake gets ready to address the whole messy love triangle.
This past Father's Day, Memphis, Tennessee saw it in them to award me with Community Father of the Year award. The mayor was there and state representatives was there. So Caden will not fall short on a daddy or a father when it comes down to that.
That is great to hear.
Here it is, the moment of truth that flips everything on its head.
It has been determined by this court. His biological father is Mr. Martin.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Oh man, this is just the start, and it's already pretty wild. And let me tell you, things are about to get even weirder.
Ms. Morris, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 1-month-old son, Jackson. You hope these results will save your family because you have 2 other kids together.
Okay, this is just bonkers. Mr. Byram talks about how he found out about Ms. Morris's little secret rendezvous with his own friend, no less. Yep, hiding in the attic. You won't believe the timeline of how long this has been going on.
Me and the dude she cheated on me with were hanging out the night before. We're really close friends. We stayed up all night, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I wake up probably 7 o'clock. He's already gone. She fought with me the night before so she can leave and stay at her grandma's house. She was over there with the kids. I seen him on the couch. That's when I started banging on the doors and the windows. I go in the house. He's hiding up in the attic of her grandma's house.
You think it couldn't get any messier? Think again. Ms. Morris says she was already being accused of cheating anyway, but what she reveals next about her dates will leave you laughing and cringing.
We were having trouble way before I even slept with his friends. He's always constantly telling me I'm cheating. It's been happening for 4 years now.
He keeps accusing you, so you just go ahead and validate the accusation?
Well, we split up for a month. And he was living down the street at his friend's, and he was dating a different girl, and I was staying in the house with the guy, the other potential father.
The timeline on these hookups is all kinds of messy. And yeah, just when you think that's wild enough, the details keep coming.
You say you are certain he's the father of Jackson. When did you sleep with him?
September 27th.
She could have slept with him the same day.
I slept with him on September 25th. That's why we're here today for the result.
Oh, so you slept with the other guy September 25th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yep, things keep getting complicated. Ms. Morris says she's been in contact with the other guy's mom, wants to be in Jackson's life if he's her grandson. But of course, Mr. Byram is not too thrilled, and his reaction to this, classic.
Did you tell the other guy, Ms. Morris, that he could be the father as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
She's still talking to his mom about it.
No.
Sending his mom pictures of the baby.
So when the baby was first born, I sent her pictures of the baby because she was asking me how much he was. No, I did not.
Yeah, you did.
About how much, not an everyday thing. It only happened twice.
The tension in their home is so thick you could spread it on toast. Ms. Morris can see this, and things get even stranger after this.
Yes, he does. He shows my other two way more attention than he shows him.
Do you blame me?
You do admit you're having a hard time bonding with Jackson because you don't know.
I still buy him clothes, toys, and do whatever for him, but I keep my distance from him because I don't know if he's my son.
Here, Mr. Byram's doubts are loud and clear. And Ms. Morris? Oh, she's about to spill the tea on some major regrets.
You helped her out the entire time? You came when the baby was born?
I was there.
I
held the baby first.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not. I just kept looking at him and thinking about what she did to me, and I just can't treat him the same as my other kids because I know for a fact that those other babies are mine, and I love them to death. I just can't love him full on, love him until I know that he is my flesh and blood. I just can't. Never.
It's apology time, and Ms. Morris really starts to feel it. But Mr. Byram's response? Just wait. It's not what you'd expect.
I can see behind your eyes a lot of sadness.
Yes, Your Honor.
You know you've made a mistake.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you regret the mistake you made?
I regret cheating, but I don't regret my son. I mean, I would never regret a kid regardless of what happened. But I do regret cheating.
You do?
Yes.
This is it, the big moment. And whoa, the truth is wild.
It has been determined by Mr. Byram. You are the father.
Yes. Yes.
After she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies. You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Things kick off with some serious drama right from the start. Both sides are revved up and ready for a showdown, and you can just tell it's about to get messy.
Mr. Portis, you and your mother have petitioned the court for a DNA test because you are certain you are not the father of the defendant's daughter, Ava. Say your life has been ruined and need today's paternity results to set the record straight.
Here's where it gets even weirder with court dates and missed tests all over the place. Judge Lake breaks it down, letting them know that by not showing up, he automatically became the dad. Talk about drama.
This started about 2 years ago. I started paying child support, $75 for this baby, and I never knew if she was mine or not. We never took a DNA test.
You paying child support for this baby?
Yes, thousands of dollars.
But you say you've never had a DNA test?
No.
And that's because you had a court date.
And he missed. He missed the court date.
So you were named the father by default.
Yes.
Yep. This is when the tea gets spilled and everyone starts pointing fingers about secret relationships. You can feel the trust issues growing, and we're just getting started.
We started talking first and then eventually started dating. It happened fast.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
A few months later.
But when she got pregnant, we stopped talking. So like, after the fact that she got pregnant, she had hit me up and was like, hey, I'm pregnant.
We were definitely together. I called you after I got the text.
No, we weren't, because I found out that she had another boyfriend.
Okay.
Oh boy, now there's a mystery letter to her ex. Mr. Portis says Ms. Middlebrooks sent a letter to her ex telling him she was pregnant, which makes the timeline even messier. With all this back and forth, we're on the edge of our seats, waiting to see where it leads next.
How did you know that?
Because of, after she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies. You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
Things get intense as Mr. Portis talks talks about not being there for the birth, and there's a lot of he said, she said going on. Judge Lake tells him he has to be responsible if he's the father. And boy, you can feel the tension building.
Were you at the birth, Mr. Portis?
No, I was not, Your Honor.
He had the opportunity to, but he wanted nothing to do with her.
Did you go to doctor's appointment?
No. He had nothing to do with the pregnancy.
She wasn't communicating with my family at all. Every time she would talk to us, she would be disrespectful.
Or any of that. She was not even
That's the only
talking
time
to
she
my
would talk to
son.
us.
Who was with you at the birth?
My ex was. He stepped up.
Now comes a plot twist. The ex was there the whole time. Ms. Middlebrooks explains her ex was super supportive and was there for Ava's birth, pretty much stepping into the dad role. It's only heating up, and we're not sure who's gonna end up stepping up here.
Oh wait,
But she wasn't messing with the ex, though.
Yes. When I had her, yes, he was there.
So he was away, and then by the time you had the baby, he was home.
Yes.
But you gave
And
my
you
son
say he
opportunity.
stepped up.
Yes.
What?
Son wanted nothing to
He
do
was
with me or
holding
the
her
pregnancy.
and all that.
You do not know. You're not your son.
I
I'm
wasn't
not
in your
communicating
business,
with you.
but
I'm
I'm
communicating
his
with your
mom.
son.
I'm his mom, though.
You're not being truthful.
The family feud kicks into high gear, with both sides going back and forth. You can tell everyone's wound up, and we're all wondering if they'll be able to hold it together.
Middlebrooks,
Disrespectful.
I realize that you may not agree with Miss Trent, but you have to understand that when you are dealing with someone who's your elder, right or wrong, just keep your mouth shut.
That doesn't give her.
Hold on. I am going to be very clear.
Just when you think it can't get wilder, here comes the ex, calling Mr. Portis. With every twist, this case just keeps getting deeper.
Her ex that she was dealing with had contacted me on Facebook.
Okay, and what did he say?
He was basically saying like, yo, Bryant, Jasmine, does she have you on child support and stuff like that? And I'm like, yeah, she does. She's been having me on child support. He was like, well, that's crazy because I'm taking care of her too. So it's just like an imbalance here.
The courtroom is hit with a surprise as Ms. Middlebrooks admits she wasn't sure about the paternity herself. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and you can tell we're close to the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Portis, you are the father.
Buckle up, because Ms. Shands kicks things off by saying she just has to prove Mr. Hollis is her baby's dad. But wait, you won't believe Mr. Hollis's response coming up next.
Miss Shands, you appear in court today because you are devastated that your first love and the person you lost your virginity to is now denying your 15-month-old son, Aiden. You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you hope you two can finally be a family.
And here's where it gets real messy. Mr. Hollis and his mom say Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and that they already know who the real dad is. It's like a soap opera, but hold on, it's about to get even juicier.
Mr. Hollis, you are here with your mother and you both testify that Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and you both don't believe you fathered her son, but claim to know who did.
Just when you think things can't get wilder, Ms. Shands admits she had a fling with one of Mr. Hollis's friends, which led to a whole mess in their friend group. The audience is gasping, and Judge Lake is just shaking her head. And trust me, there's more to this.
Me and his was close friends once before.
But
she used to come back and tell me that Mr. Amir, he was messing with one of my friends. We both were young at the time. So,
both y'all young now?
Yeah, we still are young. But I thought it was cool to go mess with one of his friends because he had slept with one of mine. We both had made a mistake.
No. Brace yourself for this one. Judge Lake asks Ms. Shands if she used protection with Mr. Hollis's friend. And Ms. Shands says, nope, not at all. And yep, there's still a lot more to spill.
You have revenge sex with one of his friends. And did you use protection?
No.
And then how many times did you have sex with this friend of his?
Multiple times.
But were you also still being intimate with Mr. Hollis?
We had broke up. When me and his friend had an affair, we wasn't together. We was not together at all.
An affair.
And then it gets even trickier as Ms. Shire's about finding out she was pregnant and how she first told Mr. Hollis's friend, not Mr. Hollis. The lack of communication just adds to the mistrust. But trust me, the surprises aren't over yet.
So you find out you're 5 months pregnant. What happens? Who do you tell?
Well, first I told his friend, because that's the person I was going with at the time. We ended up going out.
When she was going with my friend, she was still sneaking around with me anyway because I felt like he did it to me, so y'all together, I'm finna go and do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
Things get awkwardly dramatic here. Only Mr. Hollis's friend was at the birth, and Mr. Hollis didn't even know she was having the baby. The misunderstandings keep stacking up, but believe me, this story's got even more layers.
When you give birth, who was with you?
The friend was with me when Aiden was born, in the hospital, in labor.
I sent my mom there because I knew there was a possibility that my son could be the dad as well.
He favored my son when he was born.
I wasn't never invited. Like, anything I ever found out about the baby, I found out about myself. Like, I ain't even know she was in labor. I had to find that out.
And now it's gone public. Ms. Shan says she was hurt when Mr. Hollis wrote a song that accuses her of cheating, and the song went viral. As if that's not enough drama, more about their beef is about to hit the fan.
Like, when I heard the song at first, especially the first song, I forgot how it started, but he put my name in it, the friend name in it, but he erased it and changed it to a whole different, and then he came out with the I
And we have some of the lyrics to that song. And I can't be cuffing Columbus hoe. About a year ago, I was in love with a thought.
Ms. Shands talks about how Iden seems to have a real connection with Mr. Hollis, not the friend, and you can see Mr. Hollis's face soften as he talks about bonding with the baby. But wait, you'll want to hear what happens when they get the DNA results.
But every time he be with the other guy, he don't really be stunned him. He never showed the attention that he showed to Amir that he shows to the other guy.
And Miss Hollis, you say you tried to back off, but I see in this picture, you got the grandma face all over.
Finally, the DNA test results are in, and surprise.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hollis, you are not the father.
From the start, you can tell this is about to be wild. Ms. Brewington steps up, saying Mr. Lee is definitely her son Giovanni's dad, and is dodging paternity just to skip out on child support. This is just the beginning, and things are about to get way more heated.
Ms. Brewington, you are here to prove your 3-year-old son Giovanni is Mr. Lee's biological child, and you claim Mr. Lee has been a father to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support.
Ms. Brewington is 1000% sure that Mr. Lee is the dad. No doubts, no questions. She didn't expect any drama when she got pregnant, but Mr. Lee's got a different story, and he's about to let it fly.
So, Ms. Brewington, you claim you are 100% certain that Mr. Lee is the father.
I am without a doubt 100% certain that he is my son's father. Not only was I only sleeping with him, we were actually working on our relationship. So when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't think it was gonna be a shock or a surprise or anything like that.
You won't believe this level of denial. Mr. Lee says they weren't even cool like that when Giovanni was conceived. Judge Lake looks at him like, really? In the same bed, same house, but nothing happened? But Brewington isn't buying his story, and she's ready to prove him wrong.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse. We were not cool at the moment.
Your Honor, I was living with him. We were living in the same household, in the same bed.
Were you living in the same house?
Around the time, yes.
But you weren't together?
Exactly.
So were you sharing a bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And fluid.
No.
Clearly.
This moment is hilarious because Ms. Brewington finds out she's pregnant totally by accident. But if you think he's about to believe her now, you're wrong.
Okay, I found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. I didn't even realize that they said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control. So I went ahead, they did a pregnancy test. I told him, he did not believe me at all. He went out and got 3 pregnancy tests, made me take all of them. They were all positive. And he was like, well, that's not my baby.
The way they argue over the dates is just too much. She's fed up with his cluelessness, but Mr. Lee is standing his ground like, no way, not my kid. And you can tell this argument isn't ending here.
So you seem so certain, Mr. Lee.
I do, because I'm gonna explain it to you, Your Honor. How she said her birthday is the 2nd of February.
It's not.
Her birthday's on the 2nd of February.
My birthday's on the 1st of February. My birthday is on the, how you gonna tell me what day I was born? I was born on the 1st of February.
He said it's 2nd.
Yeah, look, it's close.
It gets even crazier. Ms. Brewington says Mr. Lee wouldn't believe she was pregnant and told everyone she was just getting chubby. But of course, Mr. Lee has another excuse up his sleeve.
He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Just when you think he's out of reasons, here comes Mr. Lee acting interested the second he finds out it's a boy. But trust me, his next excuse is even wilder.
As soon as he found out that my son was a boy, he's like, oh, that's my boy. I love him. That's my son. I need to be there.
Was Mr. Lee there?
He came after I had given birth because he had work. But he showed right up. He actually didn't even, they asked about the birth certificate and everything. He signed the birth certificate. certificate. He named my son. Like, no, I'm not letting you give my son no dumb name.
This next part takes a real twist when Mr. Lee says Ms. Brewington's friend told him she knew the real dad, which got him doubting even more. At this point, this story couldn't get any messier, or could it?
One of her friends, a good friend of her, actually told me that I wasn't the father. She told me that she knows who's the father.
My friend told him that because she wanted to sleep with him.
I'm still talking.
I actually caught them sleeping together.
What?
This is the part where Ms. Brewington tries to prove things by showing baby pictures to compare Mr. Lee and Giovanni. But everyone's just waiting to see if the DNA will tell the real story.
So you're saying this is a picture of Giovanni on the left, and this is Mr. Lee as a child on the right?
Yes.
And you say you see a definite resemblance
between them two, yes.
They're light skinned.
You really don't believe he's yours now that he's here in the world?
No. I don't really see too much of me. Maybe, yeah, like I said, we got curls, but...
It's nuts to see Mr. Lee admit he's been around as Giovanni's dad, paying child support, all while saying the kid isn't his. The DNA test results are about to bring everything out into the open.
You're obviously responsible as it relates to child support because you signed the birth certificate.
I'm always there. I've never not been there. So he calls me daddy.
Calls you daddy.
Yes. Yes.
With all of that,
yes,
you still don't believe he's your biological son?
No.
Your Honor, that is his baby. And I can't wait, because the devil is a liar and this is Lucifer, so stop. No.
Well, you might be the devil then.
This is the big shocker.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told you.
Hold up.
I already knew. I told you.
Here we go. Buckle up because this case is wild from the get-go. This intro sets up what's about to be a bumpy ride, so stay tuned.
Ms. Hooker, you are here with your mother because you say the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, fathered your 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. You say that Ms. Baker and her family's denial of this child has caused you pain, and you are here for an apology and to prove her son is the father.
Oh boy, here come the doubts, and Ms. Baker is not holding back. And trust me, things are only heating up from here.
Ms. Baker, you and your daughter are here today to represent your son, Mr. Abraham, because tragically, he was killed 3 months after the birth of this child. You say that before his death, your son expressed great doubt that he was the father of Ms. Hooker's baby, and you are here to put the lies to rest.
Ms. Hooker's got feelings, and she is laying them all out for the court. She also points out that her baby looks just like Keyshawn, so what's the issue? Emotions are running high, and you can bet there's more drama on the way.
I'm just sad sometimes. I try to deal with it now. Like, I really don't care no more. Like, that's how I feel. I don't care anymore. I don't care who feel nothing about my baby. I don't care. It just seemed like everybody else was looking upside my head like I'm an animal. Like, every time I'm sitting down doing something, they looking at me like I'm just outcast of the group. She looked like me, so why is a problem? That's why I just say I don't care about nothing.
This is where things get real serious, and honestly, a little sad. But don't get too comfortable because we're diving right back into the mess.
My son was on vacation, and we kept hearing that Denia was pregnant, but then when we finally found out for sure, he told me, he said he wasn't the only boy that had messed with Denia. And he made me promise that we was gonna get a blood test, and things didn't go the way we thought they were gonna go.
And get ready for Miss Hooker's turn to clap back at those rumors. Just when you think it might calm down, the tension spikes again.
You know, 'cause that's why it's funny, because how can somebody tell me who I was sleeping with? Nobody in the room was in the room with me when I was sleeping with somebody.
Keyshawn only denied the baby when him and my daughter was arguing. Other than that, I have pictures with him laying on her, getting mad at what he tell his mother or nothing like that. He held the baby, kissed the baby, and loved the baby. We just need to get the results for Miss Carolyn.
Ms. Baker wants to clear her name, but you can still feel the tension brewing. But it doesn't look like the back and forth is ending anytime soon.
I'm not trying to do anything against anybody to make her feel bad. I ain't never been denying them. We never had a problem. She come stay the night when she feel like it, her and the baby. Everything. They was just with me at my birthday dinner. Even though my son telling me I have never did or said anything to make her feel no bad.
Now we're talking about an obituary feud. Yep, you read that right. It's a serious hit to their relationship, and the room just gets tenser.
One of my family members was in the obituary, but my baby one. Y'all could keep my family member out the obituary.
Okay.
She said one of her family members was in the obituary.
But there was no mention of Kanaya. Was this intentional, Ms. Baker, Ms. Bland? Was this something that...
like this, Judge. She went and finished up without me. Kanaya did get left out. So did my grandmother, and so did one of my sisters.
All right, here it is, the big DNA reveal we've all been waiting for, and it's a bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kanaya Abraham is 0%. And
This is why right here.
Miss Baker, are you all right?
Right from the jump, things are totally bonkers. This little detail throws everyone for a loop and gets Judge Lake and the whole audience sucked in. And trust me, it's about to get a whole lot weirder.
2 brothers could be the father. 2 brothers with the same name could be the biological father. This is a lot.
It is.
It really is.
When he came to me and he told me that he was my dad, I went to family members and I asked them, did you know that there was a possibility? They've all told me they believe Steve is my dad.
This next part cranks up the weight. What? Factor big time. But buckle up because his next proof is next level.
But Michael Shockley, you still believe you are Desiree's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor. She's always been my little girl, so she'll never not be my little girl. But like, I have all girls and he's got all boys. All boys and one girl. Let's see.
Okay, now Michael tries to back up his claim with a family chart. Just when we think it's all laughs, though, Michael's daughter steps in to give her 2 cents.
You submitted a chart.
You like my chart?
So, Mike, you say you have all girls.
Yes, ma'am.
3 girls, and Desiree's right there in the middle.
Yep.
Steve, you have all boys.
Yes, Your Honor.
5 boys.
And one daughter.
He's serious about that one daughter.
And here comes Crystal, Michael's daughter, adding even more emotion to this family mix-up. Just when you think it's all family love, things take a sharp emotional turn.
Question, have you ever had any doubt in
No,
your
ma'am.
mind? Your whole life growing up, you knew Desiree to be your sister.
Yes, our whole life we fought as kids over who was more of a daddy's girl. She'd be like, oh, you're mama's girl. No, I'm daddy's girl. And you know, we went back and forth. We grew up with him. He's on our birth certificates. He's got our names tattooed on his neck.
Crystal doesn't hold back and drops a hard question. Why did Steve wait 2 whole decades to say anything? Her question definitely stirs things up, and it's Desiree's turn to let out her feelings next.
So to me, with this going on, I've always questioned why did he never come forward before? Why wait all this time? It doesn't make sense. Why would you wait 20 years to come up and say something? Why? That hurt us more than anything. If you were, why did you wait?
But why are you blaming me? I mean, like I said a while ago, I would have told her years ago if they hadn't kept her from me.
Desiree's story about how this mess affects her whole family is truly tough. And boy, the next part is about to make this even sadder.
And now you have to live with the fact that you don't know that.
We've never been really close. That was the way that we were close. That it was the connection that we had. You know, we could always say that our Bubba, yeah, he's our Bubba, but we're closer. We have that bigger connection because we do share the same mother and the same father. So I feel like in a way it kind of broke a connection that we had.
Judge Lake is here with her wise, comforting words to help Desiree through this emotional ride. But just wait until science gets pulled into this family drama.
It's heartbreaking to the point that I feel like I've been lied to my entire life. I've been like my entire first 20 years as far as who my dad is has been one big lie.
Who do you call dad?
Steve.
Oh, you do?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you believe is your biological father?
In my heart, I feel like Steve is.
Out of nowhere, Judge Lake brings in Dr. Baird, a DNA expert, to explain the who's the dad science. Now, everyone's holding their breath as they get closer to the big reveal.
Difficult thing to do genetically to sort out which of the 2 is the true biological father. However, what we do at DNA Diagnostic Center in order to exclude one of the 2 individuals. And in this particular case, that's exactly what we did. We tested almost twice the number of samples of DNA that we normally test in order to exclude absolutely one of the 2 individuals.
Even with the stakes this high, Desiree tries to keep things hopeful by saying she wants both brothers in her life. But just as things start feeling cozy, her mom jumps in with a tearful confession.
Regardless of whichever it turns out is my dad, I still want a relationship with both of them. Just one is my uncle, one is my dad.
And you deserve that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shockley, Steve Shockley, if the results show you are not her biological father, will you regret ever mentioning this to her?
No, Your Honor.
Desiree's mom, Ms. Grove, comes in with a teary apology that makes everything feel 10 times more emotional. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here.
I can't explain it. I wouldn't like to be her dad because they've always had such a strong bond. You know, her growing up, you know, I can't change the past. I'm sorry for a lot of things, but in my heart, I feel like Mike is her dad. I just want Desiree to get the answers that she needs.
I'm glad, because I want you to get the answers you need.
Everyone holds their breath as Judge Lake reveals the DNA results, and the room is totally silent.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Steve Shockley.
Yes! Baby.
This one's a doozy as Ms. Hines spills the beans on their Christmas Eve hangout. But buckle up because this back and forth gets even juicier.
Christmas Eve, we had sex in the car. After that, I told him that I was pregnant.
He basically said that he gave me a Christmas gift because he didn't give me anything for Christmas.
More than likely, I always be with my family on Christmas because we have like
This is
traditions.
Christmas Eve and not Christmas. We agreed to be with our families on Christmas.
Things get even crazier when Mr. Jackson claims Ms. Hines was shacking up with another dude. The story's already wild, but wait, Mr. Jackson's about to accuse her of even more sneaky stuff.
I'm disagreeing on both behalves because she was living with another male, so it's kind of like hard to like judge her because like.
So while you all were in this relationship or just having sex in the car,
Yeah.
she was in a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah, it was a relationship. She had another male living with her.
Mr. Jackson doesn't hold back, saying he snooped around her place and found a box of condoms. Just when you think that's the end of it, Mr. Jackson has even more to say about her behavior.
And it was a time that like I was snooping around her house, and because she had said she was taking some stuff to store it. I seen a box, and in that box it was some condoms in the box, and I thought she was like.
So you thought at that point that man and her were having sex?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that is true.
Now it's Mr. Jackson's turn to act like a spy, talking about all the times he caught Ms. Hines texting other guys. And he's got a whole lot more drama up his sleeve.
And I was on vacation one time, like I was snooping around and I got a phone and I seen like was texting numerous people. So I had snooped and went through one of the texts and I seen like she was texting this guy and he was like calling her bouncy.
You're doing a lot of snooping.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're snooping,
Yeah,
why are you even
absolutely.
with her then?
I've just seen so many things that seem shady.
Here's where it gets really spicy. Mr. Jackson fires back, saying her messages with her ex were making him insecure. If you thought that was the end of it, nope, it's about to get more complicated.
He's calling me whore or hoe, whatever, sleeping around. But that's what he's been doing since we got together.
So from the looks of these messages, it seems like you entertaining these women.
The reason why I did what I did because like she had messages in her phone from her other fella that was talking about working on their relationship.
Ms. Hines' best friend steps up, and wow, she does not hold back. The court is not impressed with Mr. Jackson's support, and we're all waiting to see what excuse he'll come up with next.
I know she's been pretty much taking care of him by herself with my assistance, her mother, no help from him. I do most of the babysitting.
This woman is
He's paid
irrelevant.
me twice for babysitting. $10 a piece, both times. I'm more of a father to this child than he is.
When Mr. Jackson admits he didn't feel a bond with Matthias because the baby didn't look like him, you can almost hear everyone's eyes rolling. The judge doesn't let that slide, and things start to get real as Ms. Hines speaks from the heart about her son.
Mr. Jackson, did you go to any doctor's appointment?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Were you there at the birth?
Not at the birth, but I came after the birth.
And when you saw the baby, what did you feel?
I really didn't feel a connection because like he didn't have really much of my features, and I seen that he had like a blondish orange hair, and that's just not my family.
Okay,
so
but
I had
you
a
didn't
reason
feel
to
a
doubt right
connection
there.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Why didn't you take the paternity test when she offered to pay for it?
Ms. Hines gets emotional as she explains that Matthias deserves to know his family, especially since he doesn't have other boys in his life. This tugs at the court's heartstrings, but before anyone can get too sappy, the judge turns to Mr. Jackson for his big response.
My son needs a father. He needs to know who his people is, where he comes from. It ain't just me. Like, we have no boys in our family. Like, he got little cousins he could play with. Like, after today, he still don't have to be in his son's life. It's fine, but I need him to know and his people to realize that you do have a son.
Judge Lake asks Mr. Jackson what he'd do if Matthias turns out to be his son, and Mr. Jackson hesitates, saying he'd want to be involved if he is the dad. It's a big moment, but with the DNA test right around the corner, things are about to get intense.
If, in fact, Matthias is found to be your biological child.
My intention is I would love to have a son because I have a daughter already. I don't really get to spend much time with her, and because she's out of the city, so and like at least try to make things work out with Rachel. But these accusations and the things that I've seen in the past was holding me back.
This is the bombshell moment.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are Matthias's father.
Okay. At least like if I can get a hug.